Hey everyone, Craig Williams here, back with another video. In this video I'm going to show you a little bit more about Sylenth, and obviously in the following videos I'm going to keep going further in, so hopefully you guys can take this information, apply it to other synthesizers, or just apply it to Sylenth and start to make some of your own original sounds so you can sort of stand out from everyone else. So before we talked sort of broad brushstrokes of everything that's on the synth, and now we're going to concentrate on the poly section and also the oscillators. So first up, we've got the poly up at the top here, and this number is an indication of how many notes you can hold simultaneously on the keyboard. So as you see here, just playing the one, but if I play another note, can only play one at a time. So this is effectively just a mono synth at the moment. If I would increase this by 1, we can play 2 together. So the maximum you can do is 16, and obviously if you have a 0, that's going to be off, and 1 will just be mono. From there we've got the voices, and this is an indication of the total sum of all of the voices on the oscillators. So we've got 4 oscillators with capable of 8 voices per oscillator in unison. So if we were to start, you can see there it starts to increase the value there. But at the moment it's still a mono synth. If we were to increase this, you can start to see voices will increase, as well as the amount that we can play. It's a little bit loud for what we're doing. So as you can see there, you can quickly get some really huge sounds going. So just be aware of what's sort of going on. And also if you're just running it as a bass, there's no need to sort of have it a lot of poly up here. Just set it to 1 and you can maintain a mono synth. Next up is voices, what we just talked about just then. Next we have the oscillator section. So there's 4 oscillators. We talked about them a little bit in the last video, but now we're going to go into a bit more detail. So each oscillator, now we talked about the voices. You can generate from 1 to 8 voices in unison. So obviously you can start to create some really big sounds once you start to stack the voices, add a little bit of detune, and you can really get those big sounds. The waveform selector, which is here, you just click down and you can just drag up. You've got all the different waveforms, obviously starting sine, sawtooth, and so on, all the way through to white noise. So again, using these and layering different waveforms together, or the same waveform, you can create some really good sounds. Over in the pitch section, you can go, again, it's just clicking and dragging. You can go plus or minus 3 octaves, and the notes is 7. So and also we've got the fine tune, so if you want to slightly detune some of your oscillators. And some things that I like to do is by creating a chord with the notes. So you can just look it up in a bit of theory. You can see the different minor and major triads and dyads, and you can just select these and just change them so you can create your own sort of chord patterns. Instead of having to do to play chords on the keyboard, you can just play one note and then you'll get a nice chord pattern and a nice thick synth sound. Just the dials again. Volume is obviously the volume of the oscillator. And next up we've got a phase. So phase is just choosing the starting point of where it's going to start the sound in the waveform. So if we have 180, if we start at 0, obviously that will start at the very beginning of the waveform. If you have 180, it will start in the middle, and 360 will start at the end, which is effectively back at the start again. Detune is detuning the voices around the center pitch. This is how you can create some really good supersaw and Hoover sounds. So if you go to the you go down, you start to look at the presets and start to see what the settings that they've got, and you can sort of reverse engineer what they've done, and you can begin to see how they've made those sounds. Stereo, this is how, if you were just to have a bass and you wanted it mono, you obviously bring it down to the 0, and then as you bring it round, it will spread the sound out. And it will, obviously it spreads it evenly over the left and right channel. And then panning is obviously as it is, just panning left and right. And as we talked about in the last video, if you double click, it will bring it back to the center point or 0, whichever is sort of its beginning sort of spot. The inversion tab here will flip the waveform upside down, so you can combine two different waveforms and to create something a little bit different. We talked about the waveform selector, and we talked about the voices, and the retrig is to every time you push down the key, so let's bring up the volume a little bit. Every time it starts from there, obviously, unless we've got the phase selected, but setting it at 0, and it will always start there. If we have retrig off, as I push down the button, it will move along the waveform. That's one we can. So yeah, and some other cool little bits of the oscillator is you've got the copy and paste. So this is something cool that I've found just the other day whilst doing a bit of research for this. If you like the sound of one oscillator from a different patch, you can go down, select the patch, copy it, go back to your initialized one and paste it in there. Just in case you like one part of how they've done their sound, you can just copy one part, and obviously you can copy and paste those over to the two different parts. So that's about it for this one. It's a pretty quick sort of video, just try and get you understanding oscillators and the voices on the synth. If you've got any other questions, feel free to drop us a line, and stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be mainly focusing on the filter section and the amp envelopes and the modulation envelopes. So until next time, see you later.